Joining us on the phone from Nashville, it is Mr. T. Graham Brown. Good morning.
Good morning, Charles. Thanks for having me on, buddy.
Now, it is a wonderful day to have you with us on the program to chat about things. You got a bunch of exciting stuff going on, but just first and foremost, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Sheila and I are having a great life. We've been together 43 years now, and, you know, I'm 67 years old. The pressure's off. I'm not out there chasing a hit, and we're out doing shows. You know, if we get an offer for a show and we want to do it, we take it. If not, we pass on it, and I can cut the kind of records I want to cut. I can indulge myself. So it's a lot of fun right now.
Nice to have all that freedom. Let's just talk about the early days for a young T. Graham Brown. You started off in Georgia, and as a child, I really always like to ask questions like this. What was that first 45 that you bought? What was that first record you bought, that song that you had to go to the store and take it home with you?
Gee whiz, that's a good question. And I'm trying to think, you know, believe it or not, it was probably a Dr. Seuss album. I remember having a Dr. Seuss album, and I just played that thing over and over and over. I didn't have a whole lot of albums or singles, really. I had Johnny Cash live at San Quentin, and I had Jerry Lee Lewis live at the International Hotel, Las Vegas, and I think I had a Paul Revere and the Raiders album and a Vanilla Fudge album. I remember that. And, you know, little singles like, oh, doggone, that girl group, Hey, wait a minute, Mr. Postman.
Yeah.
That one, and I don't know. I had a big band album that I listened to a lot. There was this little store. I grew up and spent my boyhood years in this little town that had 300 people in it. So there was a store that had an album rack in it, and they were all 99 cents, and they were terrible. The selection was nothing that was really popular. I remember I wanted to get, you remember that song, The Ballad of the Green Beret?
Yeah, Sergeant Barry Sadler. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, they had this album, Ballad of the Green Beret, so I bought it, and it was my first experience listening to a sound-alike record. It broke my heart that it wasn't really Barry Sadler.
And, you think that's sad, being the guy who's the sound-alike to Sergeant Barry Sadler. That alone is a very limited career angle, too, I think, for you.
Yeah, it was an album of nothing but Vietnam songs. That was when the Vietnam War was on, and it was all these Vietnam War songs. It was really a weird album. But I listened to it over and over and over. I mean, you know.
T. Graham Brown joining us on the phone from Nashville this morning, talking about childhood, starting off in Georgia. Now, were you singing in church groups and the like? Because a lot of guys got their start doing that. They were singing in church, and that led to them to realize that they were gifted in some ways. Yeah,
we all sang in church, you know. I went to a little Baptist church, and we sang songs out of the Broadman hymnal. And, that was probably the first. Mama said I was always singing around the house. So, you know, when I was little, so I don't really remember that far back. But apparently I was making a lot of noise.
Now, you started a bands and some other groups in the 70s, and early on, of course, you know, you have that moment when you decide, I'm going to go out and try to make music or at least make noise for a living. What was that worst gig you remember from those early days?
Well, you know, there weren't really any bad ones that I can remember. I was trying to play baseball at the University of Georgia, but I wasn't getting to play, so I had to figure out a way to make money for my tuition. So that was when I decided to start singing, because I was disappointed in my college baseball career. So I just started singing at the Holiday Inn, you know, right next to campus. So a buddy of mine said, "You ought to come and audition." I didn't know nothing about nothing, man. And
Yeah.
so I had this buddy from high school that knew how to play the guitar, and we went over and sang this guy like 4 songs. He said, "You're hired." So all of a sudden we were doing 4 sets a night, 5 nights a week, and, you know, singing at night and getting up and going to class in the morning.
That was a wild ride for sure. T. Graham Brown on the phone with us, talking about your career. We'll get into some of your big hits and some of your new projects you have going on coming up. Wanted to ask you a few questions about that, the jump to Nashville, and sort of the unique angle that you had, which you spent a lot of time singing on jingles and things for folks.
Yeah, I did a lot of jingles, man. I did McDonald's and Burger King and Hardee's and KFC and Taco Bell and Dr. Pepper and Mountain Dew and 7-Up and Coke and all the beers, all the cars and trucks. And I did Sometimes You Feel Like a Nut, Sometimes You Don't. I did that for 7 years. And I'm still doing them. You know, I get calls to do jingles even today.
Well, I might hit you up for a personal jingle for me sometime. Now, you weren't tasked with writing those songs, right? They were, for the most part, they were already completed, and you just had to finish them out, or were there some times when they just had half an idea and said, "Can you help us?"
Yeah, sometimes I wrote them, but mainly they were written by big ad agencies, you know, in Chicago or New York or L.A., and they had it all ready, and I just went in the studio, and they would usually send a representative from the ad agency to the studio to make sure I got it like they wanted it. Mm-hmm. But it was real easy, man. That kind of stuff's easy for me, and you know, I could work really fast in the studio, and they liked that part of it too, because they didn't have to spend a lot of money on studio time.
Well, that's good. Yeah, at least for their pocketbook, for sure. And probably helped yours out as well. T. Graham Brown on the phone with us from Nashville. When was the first time you were in the studio doing your own music when you realized you might have had a hit song in your hands?
Well, I started cutting stuff in Atlanta back before I moved to Nashville, but the first... When I signed with Capitol Records and started cutting stuff for them, that's when I thought, man, I got a chance at having, you know, a national hit. I'd had regional hits, but probably 1985, I guess, is when I cut my first album for Capitol. Something 84, 85. I can't remember when I signed with Capitol, but we went in and cut a couple of things, and one of them was "I Tell It Like It Used to Be," mm-hmm. Which was the second single. Capitol put out one single, and I think it went to number 39, and that was enough for them to ask me to go in and finish an album for them. And then they put out "I Tell It Like It Used to Be," and it was a big hit, and so I was pretty much off and running.
Now, listening to you sing and perform, I have to say there are times when you sort of have to glance at the album and go, "Are you sure this is country?" I mean, because you've got quite a few songs there that are sort of genre bending. Was there like a genre of music that maybe you could have settled into other than the sort of the country sound that Capitol put you in?
Probably soul music or gospel. I guess I'm kind of a country soul gospel guy. I'm kind of confused, actually. I cut my first 2 albums down in Muscle Shoals, Alabama, where they cut a ton of soul hits. So and my stuff had horns on it from the beginning, so there weren't that many country acts that had horns. I mean, I Tell It Like It Used to Be had horns all over it, so I think people cut me some slack. I think country radio cut me some slack back then and played my stuff. I didn't really set out to be country, you know. It was like, well, I was in Nashville, therefore I was country. So I think that's the way that worked out. And they put me with a country producer, so it was kind of, I don't know. We just went down there and cut some songs that we liked, and they just kind of came out soulful.
It's a fantastic body of work that you've had, and a lot of those songs, again, you know, they slide into that soul category, even a little bit of R&B, and you can hear some of the influence of some of the artists that you may have listened to. Maybe not the Dr. Seuss so much. But is there any soul or R&B artists that you listen to that really sort of help steer the way for you?
As far as soul music goes, I listen to everybody. Otis Redding, Aretha Franklin, Wilson Pickett, Sam and Dave, all that stuff. I've been down in Muscle Shoals here recently cutting a bunch of old soul hits from the 60s that were cut in Muscle Shoals in Memphis. And we're calling the album From Memphis to Muscle Shoals, and it's Sam Moore from Sam and Dave. I went down to Miami and recorded a duet with him, put his voice on it, and a couple of weeks ago I went down to Boca Raton and got Little Anthony from Little Anthony and the Imperials, and I got Eddie Floyd, the guy that wrote and sang the original Knock on Wood song. Tanya's on it, Dwight Yoakam's on it, Sammy Hagar, Dwight Yoakam. I'm trying to get Hank Jr. and Travis Tritt. I think they're going to help me out on it too. So it's turned into a fun project.
And that sounds incredible, and looking forward to that new album. What would be the name of that album again when it comes out?
From Memphis to Muscle Shoals.
Oh, boy, that sounds exciting. New music in the works for T. Graham Brown. T. Graham Brown joining us on the phone from Nashville. Of course, you got an album that's out from a couple years ago called Bare Bones. You revisited some of your prior hits. And were those new recordings of some of your hits then?
Oh, I just went in the studio with an acoustic guitar and did an acoustic greatest hits album that Sheila had been trying to get me to do it forever, and I don't know why it took me so long to get around to it, because I knocked it out in a couple of days. It was really easy, man. I sung those songs thousands of times, so it was really simple, and just me and guitar and background vocals. And I think listening to an acoustic record, as far as the ones I've listened to, it's just a different listening experience. You don't have the backing tracks and full production of a quote unquote regular album, you know. So people seem to like it though, man. It's on all the streaming platforms, and you can download it, or you can come to tgrahambrown.com and get a physical CD if that's what you want, and check our schedule out. And you know, we got a cool Facebook page too that we keep up every day, and we even on TikTok. We're rocking with the kids on TikTok, man. So we're just trying to stay relevant and have a good time.
That's awesome. That new album, Bare Bones, when you went through and redid some of those songs with just you and your acoustic guitar, did you ever have a moment when you were playing one of the old songs and you were like, you know what, we can do it this way now? Like, I don't have to play it like it was a million times over on the record. I could do it. So I could re-examine it. I could refreshen it up a little bit, do it differently. Is there any track like that you changed around a bit?
Well, all of them have evolved, kind of morphed a little bit through the years. So it wasn't like I did something, you know, consciously did something different, but, you know, over the last 40 years, they've changed a little bit. You know, I sing them differently than the way I recorded them, but I don't get too far away from the way I recorded them. So, no, there wasn't something I said, well, we're going to change this one around. It's just they've kind of changed over the years a little bit. But not a whole lot. They're still very recognizable.
T. Graham Brown joining us on the phone from Nashville. all sorts of fun projects in the works, of course, that upcoming soul album. I understand you're going to be penning an autobiography, too.
Yeah, we've been doing that. Sheila just left to go meet with the guy that's helping us do that to check it out and see what we need to change. It's basically finished. I'm working on a sports chapter, of all the sports people I've known and, things I've done, car racing and just fun things, through the years. I've met a lot of people and worked with a lot of people over the years, so doing the autobiography's been pretty fun.
And if somebody wants to find out when that autobiography is going to be coming out or that new soul album, you have a website where you can be found.
tgrambrown.com, and it's got our tour schedule on it. And yeah, we'll be announcing all that stuff, and it'll be on Facebook and all that too. I'm hoping that record and the book come out this summer. That's what I'm hoping.
Fantastic. And you've been keeping pretty busy with other things, too, other than your tour schedule. You've been on the Opry a number of times, of course. You sort of visit there when you can. And you have a show on Sirius XM.
Yeah, I've done the Opry over 300 times. We did it last Friday night, as a matter of fact. Yeah, I have a show on Sirius XM Radio called Live Wire, where I play live cuts from artists' live albums, and I can record that here at the house. It's really easy, too. I get to pick all the music out, and so that's a lot of fun. People seem to enjoy it. I've been doing it 3 years now, so people are having fun listening to that. I hear from folks all the time, so I think it's, it's pretty popular.
What's your favorite sort of obscure live track you found and played on your show that made you go, boy, I found this and everybody needs to hear this?
Wow, there's a lot of them that I've found. It's hard to just say just one. I mean, I've dug up some pretty obscure stuff, and then some that are people that would know the songs, backwards and forwards. I try to play hits, so the format is from the year 1980 through 2000. So I play country music of that era, and then I might throw in a Bob Seger or Delbert McClinton or Bob Turner Overdrive or Creedence or something like that. I usually throw a wild card in there on every show.
That's awesome. T. Graham Brown joining us on the phone from Nashville. And, of course, you've also got something to quench people's thirst, too. You've partnered up with some folks. Hillbilly
tea, man. 5 flavors of tea and lemonade. So if you can find it, they're expanding. So it's pretty good. I think they're getting it in Walmart and different places, and convenience stores and things like that. So yeah, we're helping those guys out.
Man of many hats and many talents indeed, T. Graham Brown on the phone with us from Nashville. I got to say, it's a pleasure to talk with you, and you've got just a massive body of work. Is there a certain song from an album that you did that just doesn't get radio play, that people just don't really hear it because it's in an album and was never put out as a single? Is there one of your hidden gems that you think, this is a song that I really wish everybody had heard from you?
Golly. I cut a Steve Earle song one time called My Old Friend the Blues that would have been a big country hit if they'd have put it out. But there's a lot of things, man. I've done like 16 or 17 albums now. So there's a lot of hidden tracks, that it's just hard to pick one.
Well, we'll try to get that one played for you and others too here this morning. T. Graham Brown joining us on the phone. Thank you very much for joining us today from Nashville. You have a great day.
Well, thanks, man, and God bless you, and God bless your listeners, and God bless the United States of America. I appreciate you letting me be on your show.
Thank you very much. And again, your website?
TGrahamBrown.com. All our stuff's under T. Graham Brown. Our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. It's all under my name.
All right. Thank you so much. Wishing you and Sheila the best.
All right, Ben. God bless you. Bye-bye.